Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict on this fine and delicious evening. And it's the most delicious because we have none other than Lou Jimenez. And you know what? I'm probably going to butcher that name. My wife, I called him Lou. I apologize now. I've been calling him Lou Jimenez for quite some time. For anybody who knows my missus, well, you don't know my missus, but my missus is from Ecuador. And she said, who you got on tonight? I said, I've got Lou Jimenez. And she said, do you mean Jimenez? I said, what? It's Jimenez? It's a J. She's like, no, you idiot. You don't sound the J. But without further ado, Lou Reviews, welcome.
Yo, what's shaking? I love the band. I love that banner. That's awesome.
I meant you the banner.
I love it. I love it.
Hilarious. To quickly what am I going to say? Your merch to prompt your merch.
Oh, I don't have merch, man. I took all the merch down.
No,
yeah.
What's this then?
Oh, that. Yeah. That was that
you've got to make that merch,
right? Maybe.
I would buy that.
We'll see. I don't know, man. I don't think I'll make merch until there's an actual like huge demand. Like for me to do that again, it was I hated doing it. It's just extra work as far as I'm concerned. Like I've already work enough. Like I want to add a merch store on top of it. I'm just not interested. It would really have to be like genuinely missing money opportunity for me to be like, all right, fuck it, let's go merch. Let's do it again.
Just do trolling merch.
No, let the trolls do the trolling merch. I don't have time, man. I don't have fucking time.
I was watching your last live show today where I got introduced to UFO Judas. That guy's hilarious.
He's the best.
I didn't know he existed.
Oh, I'm so happy that I was able to introduce you to him. Then, yeah, he's to me the North Star as far as ufology is concerned, because he's really sort of satirizing ufology and all of its, just craziness.
Some people take him seriously.
Really oh yeah, well, what I love is the people who are fanatics, the real insane believers, the real cult members. He'll sometimes put out stuff that they think is bolstering their sort of perspective and viewpoint, and they don't realize that he's making fun of all of them. All of them. All of them. If he's got a video and you're in it, he's probably making fun of you. He's probably making fun of you because it's a circus. The whole thing's a circus. And so he's pointing out the clowns in the circus. And it's brilliant.
So you know the guy, but obviously you don't.
I don't know him.
You don't.
I don't know him. I've never met him. No, I wish I was that brilliant. I don't know how to that kind of editing is a little bit out of my expertise. I'll be learning it this year. I think by the end of this year I'll have a really good understanding on how to do some of the stuff that he does. But yeah, I don't know how to do some of the stuff he does. It's just brilliant. It's really brilliant stuff.
Yeah, because I want to get onto some of that stuff because you are going to be making, I've heard, from the horse's mouth, as they say in the UK. Did they say that in the States?
Yeah. That's a saying.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you guys did colonize us, so I mean, we definitely adopted some of the sayings over here.
Well, but the Vikings colonized us first.
Fair.
Yeah. Well, they did. Well, I have no idea what I am. But anyway, you are going to be making a documentary, so I do want to get onto that. But you're an actor, so that's your day. That's your day job. That's what you do. That's what brings in the bacon.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, part of the bacon. Yeah.
And You mentioned a few times on your show, 13 years old, you had an experience. Is this what got you into this in the first place? Was it just kind of like you saw that things were hyping up and you thought, I'm going to make a channel on UFOs, I'm a little bit interested, or is it that you've always wanted to know?
Yeah, okay. So when you say this, do you mean starting my channel originally?
Yeah, was it your experience as a
Okay.
boy?
So yes, that definitely had a big part of it. I think it was at the time 2017 had already happened. There was also a few things that were happening with Lou Elizondo. The first season of Unidentified had just ended, and so those were things that were getting me super excited. But I think I said on this show before that the thing that really sort of solidified, because I was already in my brain, I was already contemplating about doing a channel, and it's the channel I'm essentially doing now, where it's games, movies, TV shows, and UFOs originally wasn't going to be a part of it because I thought it was kooky. Or I not so much that I thought it was kooky, but I thought it was not a great idea to talk about being an actor. But after sort of seeing the 2017 New York Times article, after seeing the pilots coming out, after seeing that footage that now is sort of been thoroughly debunked as far as I'm concerned. That was the thing that made me do the UFO channel, that sort of gave me the permission to do it, I guess, was Elizondo came into my restaurant.
Yeah.
He came into my restaurant, like, just by happenstance. And he was there with the production team of Unidentified and for season 2. And after talking to him, and getting his phone number and shooting the shit, and because look, for everything that everybody says, including me, like, this is, like, he's a charming fellow. He's a great dude to hang around.
You could tell that.
No, he's absolutely he's a magnet. I would love to sit there and talk to him more. Someday, probably never again, but yeah, dude, it's so that was the thing that got me, that sort of, after he came into the restaurant, and I was so excited to meet him. I mean, like, I think I've explained this before as well. Like, I don't get starstruck. Starstruck is not something I do. And even when I do get those feelings, I usually hold them back because it's not very professional. Like, if you're like tripping over yourself to get to the person either you're working with or you're working for, maybe in some instances, or even if you're just a waiter at a restaurant, like, the last thing you want to do is be the guy who ruined their hour and a half to get away from all of the madness that is their life. You know what I'm saying? So like if I mean, we've had Michael Keaton, we've had Anthony Bourdain, we've had Oprah Winfrey, Madonna. I've waited on some insane people. But I've never once asked for an autograph or chummed them up, never once, until Lou Elizondo came walking through that door. I was like, holy shit, like, this is wild. Like, that I was thinking about this concept. It was in play, but it wasn't something that I thought I was going to do, just because I didn't have the real confidence to talk about it. Like, I'm an actor in LA. I don't want people to think I'm kooky, and UFOs are a kooky thing to talk about. But after meeting him and sort of just getting a lot of confidence in the fact that, hey, like, there are now pilots and lawmakers and some very significant, very credible people that at the time I was looking at, I was like, it doesn't make sense for them to lie. It doesn't make sense for them to be deceiving or for them to have made a mistake. Like, all of these, these things that I was taking into consideration played a really, really heavy part on giving me the confidence to say, you know what, fuck it. just do it. Just do a UFO channel. Tell people your story. You lead with that. And the thought going into it was, okay, definitely I don't want to be a grifter. I don't want to be Linda Bolton Howe. I don't want to be coast to coast AM. I don't want to be I don't want to tell people what to believe. I never ever wanted to do that, and I tried really hard to never do that with my show. And I think I did it pretty well, as best I could, with the belief system I had. And that's a big reason why I brought in Rather, and I brought in Mike, and I brought in Jane, because their perspectives and their experiences and their thought processes were different than mine. And so that led to interesting discussions, and also changing perspectives and changing your mind based off of facts or new information, or just having a discussion and thinking of it from a different perspective. That was, and also I wanted to be honest and open with who exactly I was. Like, I didn't want a fucking Johnny Enoch name or some like bullshit, fucking bullshit name with a bullshit background, or like some mysterious filter over my face so people couldn't see who I was. Like, I wanted to be honest with everything that I was doing, including my identity, because I never wanted anybody to point a finger at me and go, "Oh, you're fake, you're a fraud, you're just lying." I was like, lying about what? Like, there's my resume, go look at it, and I still feel that way. I still feel really strongly about that. And there's, like, dude, what this channel started at and what it is today is a complete morphing and changing of perspective, and just, I think, more rational thinking, more clear-headed thinking, more questioning everything and everyone, and at this point trusting no one. Like, I can't trust anyone in this discussion anymore, because everyone is an absolute, no offense, but everyone is an absolute psychopath in this discussion.
I know you won't offend me. I definitely am a psychopath.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's like the things people will do and the things people will say in the face of seeing something disgustingly wrong is absolutely insane to me. Like, this is the only walk in life ever in my life, anywhere, in any community, where I've been accused of racism and being racist, where I've been accused of being a misogynist, where I've been accused of just the most insane things, for just simply speaking my mind and giving an opinion about someone else's bullshit. Like, I have a right to have an opinion. That doesn't make me misogynistic or racist or any of those things. But this is the only community anywhere where those labels have ever been thrown on me.
Welcome to 2023, mate.
It's not 2023.
No, it's UFO.
It's partly 2023, and it's partly just psychopaths, like people who aren't thinking rationally. And it's just wild to me that people who espouse that anti-racism and pro-rights and all of these wonderful liberal ideas that mostly I agree with myself. I think the government shouldn't have a right to tell you what to do in your own fucking house, period, full stop. I don't care what that means, short of harming children and or a spouse. Anything other than that, I go for it. Go for it. As long as you're not planning some sort of insurrection or terrorist attack, go for it. There are limits to that, but like, it's wild to me that the loudest people in the room have the most ardent, racist, lying supporters that fight for their bullshit and accuse people, good, hardworking people, of heinous behavior And you're okay with it there because they agree and support your belief system. But over here, with the guy that doesn't agree or fall in love with every single word that comes out of your mouth, that guy is racist, misogynist, and dangerous. Right? It's just like the hypocrisy in the community is kind of the thing that really, man, I wasn't prepared for. Really wasn't prepared for that. I honestly, I thought for sure there would have been people going, that's an absolute absurd statement you just made about Lou. Like, you know, so, and the amount of people that say nothing, and then claim to be your buddy or your pal or your friend. And then all of the people who are making these claims and saying heinous shit about you. So also happen to like, you know, love the people that call you their friends. Like, it just like they like each other's tweets. They respond to each other. It's like, wait a second, this guy just compared me to not a Nazi, and 2 minutes later you're chumming it up about, you know, your fucking nature trips with this guy. It's just like, dude, what's going on? You know, so I don't know, man. It's just it's a crazy community. It's an absolute batshit crazy community. And so yeah, it's man, I don't even know what the original question was, but I guess that's my rant. Like
mate, it's alien. Yeah. There are no questions. It's just you, me, and you know, and this beautiful background.
Yeah, love the background.
I want to know because it was never really that clear. Mm-hmm. How one guy goes from fastly becoming the most, and this is not an exaggeration, I think you know this, and not to blow smoke up your ass, but to becoming the biggest UFO channel. And I honestly think if you'd have carried on going the way you'd have been going, you'd have like just sky's the limit. What makes a content creator that has a huge following that is making quite a bit of money for the UFO channel? Let's face it, for the amount of subs you had, what made you just go, fuck this? I'm going. Was it the community? Was it?
No. I just came to the conclusion after the Big Phone Home 3, and it was very clear to me that event for me was the perfect barometer to gauge, okay, who's in this for the right reason and who's in this for bullshit. And I was able to see very clearly real fast that mostly everyone was here for bullshit, and there was only a handful of people that were actually here for the right reasons. And so that, coupled with having the experience that I had just gone through with Lou, with the whole sock puppet accounts and him lying, and just thinking about the interactions I've had with him and just how dirty it all felt. I didn't want my channel, and I didn't want to be a voice that feeds a community of conspiratorial thinking. I did not want to be that guy. Like I said at the very top of this show, I never wanted to be that. So the second I knew, oh shit, my show is potentially, like, I have a choice to make here. I literally came to a fork in the road. Like, I could either lean into the woo, lean into the mystery, call myself a science podcast, support every single fucking syllable that comes out of the machine's mouth, and yeah, sky's the limit. Sky's the absolute limit. I could have done a lot with that platform. A lot with that platform. Or take the other fork and just be honest. Be honest about what happened to you, what you saw, what you experienced, and what now, and what you see now. Like what you see now. And it sucked. I did not want to go this way. Did not want to go this way. It made my life infinitely harder to go this way. But I could sleep at night. I can sleep at night knowing that people who are donating to my channel aren't putting dollars into like a bucket at church. I want you to donate anytime you want, but because you love it, not because I'm feeding a belief system. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was feeding a belief system at that point. And also the death threats and the bots in my channel that I was getting from Saudi Arabia and Russia, like for the last 2 shows.
That must be scary. It's gotta be.
They were spamming my channel with traitor and backstabber. You don't call somebody a traitor and a backstabber. Those are really sharp words that cut straight to the bone. You just don't throw those words around like free candy at a Halloween party. Like that is what it scared me, because again, going back to what I was saying before, being honest about who I am, what I do, so that way nobody could call you a fraud. What are you talking? I'm a fucking actor. I never claimed to be a fucking scientist. I never claimed to be an insider. Never claimed to be a journalist. Right? I just wanted to get to the bottom and get some answers on my experience. And I felt, looking at the situation from just a citizen, I'm like, wow, holy shit, this feels like the best opportunity we've had in 70 years to talk about this on a serious level. And we are talking about it at a serious level, but it has nothing to do with non-human intelligence. It has everything to do with flight safety and national security risk. Those are the 2 most important things in this discussion within Congress, within the Senate, and within the political system as a whole. It has nothing to do with aliens and things in our atmosphere that we can't explain or verify. Nothing. Nothing. And so I don't even know where the hell I was answering this question. What was the original question?
The original question was, what made you destroy UCR?
So seeing this shit, like seeing all of these things, that's what made me go, fuck this. I'm pulling the plug. Like, that's right. Being honest and who I was. Like, I do a live show at least once a month in Los Angeles. I don't need some maniac showing up to a show that doesn't fucking like me because why? Because I don't believe Lou Elizondo anymore. That's why, like, that's the last thing I need. And when all this shit was going down, like, I was talking to my mom, I was talking to my dad, and then when I talked to my brother, really, my brother was the first person I called and talked to, and he was like, dude, it doesn't sound like you're having fun anymore. And I'm like, no, I'm fucking not when I'm getting bots in my chat, calling me a traitor and a backstabber. No, this shit ain't fun. But part of me also felt really guilty because I wanted to correct what I thought I had did wrong. I felt obligated to maybe the people who were on the fence and now are believers and have fallen down that rabbit hole as deep as humanly possible. And I was the guy who set them off the other edge. I felt really guilty about that. But in retrospect, like, looking at what I did, I was always honest. I was always upfront with my experience as a 13-year-old kid, and a 40-year-old memory or 30-year-old memory shouldn't be something you take as proof. And I've never put it on the table as proof. And so that's why I killed the channel. That's why I stopped everything immediately. I took down all the merch. I took down all my videos, because the last thing I need is people going back to my John Ramirez video and going, oh my God, this is all real.
Even I know
you questioned the shit out of him.
You absolutely. Today I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go back through some of Lou's old stuff because there's some questions I've got on, so I'll refresh myself. Oh no, I can't. He's got rid of them. They've gone.
Yeah, No, I got rid of all of them. I didn't get rid of them. I privatized
Unlisted.
all of them.
Yeah.
And I think I might go through a few of them, and like some interviews that like I think I should put back up the last Lou Elizondo interview, because to me, that question of sock puppets to me might go down as maybe the most important question in this whole discussion, because for me, like, I think the reason why I was such a Lou Elizondo defender was because I hadn't seen with my eyes or definitive proof that this guy was lying. Hadn't seen it in public. I hadn't seen the Department of Defense didn't call him out as a liar, although they didn't confirm a lot of the things that he has said. I hadn't seen, there's just a lot of things I hadn't seen. So I like to give people the benefit, show me who you are before I judge who you are, you know? And it took 2 years, but everything, and building up to that 2 years, those 7 interviews, like everything, there were red flags coming the whole time that I was seeing. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't like that. Put that in the back and just think about it. And then it wasn't until that last interview with him where that whole thing went down, where I was just like, wow, okay, I can't trust anything this guy says. He gaslit me. He emboldened a community of people to make death threats at me. He leaked he was sharing our private message with other people other than his wife. The only person that saw that text message from Lou Elizondo other than me was my girlfriend, who lives with me. And I showed her because I was like, hey, am I reading this right? Like, am I misunderstanding this? And she read it and went, no, that sounds exactly like what he says in that text. And so I was like, shit, you know, like once I started seeing those things, that's when I was like, oh, something's not right. Something's not right. Something's not right. This doesn't make any sense. The second I start calling this out, I start getting death threats, and literally, like, it was just amazing to either it was deafening silence or absolute criticism coming from the peanut gallery. And I thought for sure, I was like, there are going to be people who come to defend me because they've worked with me. And also, I've got 3 big phone homes now under my belt, like 2 solid years of showing the community, hey, like, I'm here for truth. Like, I'm here to try and figure this out with you guys. I've got a lot of questions. I don't agree with all of you, but I think we can all agree that these guys have more answers. You know, point up. They've got more answers. And so that was the idea. That was the philosophy, dude. And I thought for sure all of that goodwill, all of that hard work that I did for Lou Elizondo, let me be 100% clear. I did that for him because I was looking at a man saying to myself, holy shit, he looks tired. It looks like he needs help. And every time somebody asks him on one of these shows, this is before I had a show, hey, what's the best thing a citizen can do to help you? Call your lawmaker. That's what he would say every time. So, fuck, dude, let me try and do something to help you with that. And I did my best, did my absolute best. I gave it my all. And I thought that was going to win me some kind of defense, win me some kind of like, no, you guys are wrong about this guy. You guys are just flat out fucking wrong. And instead, I was met with either silence or personal concern behind the scenes. And some of those personal concerns eventually came back to me, and here we are 3 or 4 months. No, we're like 6, 7 months since this has happened. And some of those people who were listening to what I was saying and were like, oh, I don't know, man, it sounds like you lost your shit a little bit. And I'm like, okay, we'll see. Like I was telling them about Chupacabra. I was telling them about meetings that Dave Scott was having. I was telling them about, you know, about recordings and conversations that are out there. Those things that still haven't come out, you know, like, and I keep telling people, go read what Jeremy McGowan wrote on his blog. And anything he has in a quote, it's probably recorded.
It was interesting what you were saying about, I've forgotten the guy's name. Sam is he was on Lax Friedman, and you were showing the clips, and it was Jerry. I think you're right about Jeremy Corbell feeding. Who was the guy?
It was Sam Harris.
That's the one. Sam Harris. Yeah.
You know, and like, so yeah, you've got these leading physicists and scientists who keep getting phone calls. They don't say who it is, but they first start with phone calls. Oh man, we're going to get you in a room with all of these people, and you're going to be able to give your spiel, or they're going to give a spiel to you, and it's going to convince you, one of the brightest minds on the planet, that this shit's real.
And then nothing.
And it never happens. It never fucking happens. And when I tell you, I've heard that story over and over and over again, I know exactly who's reaching out for those meetings. I know exactly who it is. I know exactly who it is. And it's not, it's like, dude, it's not as sophisticated as you guys think. Like I've said on my show, there are production companies that shot stuff for these guys, and production company calls up and is like, hey, we want to do we want to give you guys notes on the show. And they don't call the production company, they just show up themselves and say, okay, yeah, we're ready for your notes. It's like, wait a second, you guys aren't supposed to be taking notes. You guys are the UFO experts. You're not the TV producers or the writers or the production company. They're the ones who should be taking the notes on these meetings, these production meetings. You guys don't know what the fuck you're doing. And then like having to try and fix that shit. Just something's not right. I don't know what it is. Okay. But like behind the scenes, people think there's like a publicist and a production team and all of these things. There's not. There were. There were, and you've noticed all of them have gone away. All of them have gone away. Every production company that has come within or has even gotten really close to this story has walked away from it eventually. History Channel did. Tom DeLonge walked away from it. The production company that was doing that McGowan and Sean Cahill, Lou Elizondo show, they walked away from it.
Can we reverse slightly there? The Tom DeLonge. Yeah. So Tom DeLonge, TTSA. I was a big fan to start off with. I have a guy that used to come on, a big investor. He spoke to Senator Gillihan, Osvaldo Franco, Disclosure. He calls himself now Disclosure Revolution. He has put, I'm not going to say he's put some money into TTSA.
Yeah.
And I warned him a long time ago. I said, you need to stop doing this. But Tom DeLonge, he was the man for a bit. He was the man. And as soon as he fucked up on Joe Rogan, that is when Lou took the reins. Do you think that was always going to happen, that Lou was going to take the reins, or Lou, that had to happen because he messed up?
I have no idea. I mean, if I had to take a guess, I think what happened was Tom DeLonge went too woo.
Well, he did show a CGI.
Yeah, UFO.
TR3B,
okay?
yeah.
But what I'm saying is I think because if you really listen to what Cahill and Elizondo, like if you go back and really listen to every single interview these guys have done, okay, and trust me when I tell you, people are doing it. They don't say shit. They don't say anything. As a matter of fact, everything they say is doublespeak that could easily be applied to national security. It could be applied to drones. It could be applied to unmanned aerial vehicles. Yeah, sometimes they look weird. They make them look weird on purpose. Our enemy makes these drones look weird on purpose because they know that the stigma is so bad within the Air Force that people don't report shit because they don't want to lose their flying time, or they don't want to lose their pilot seat because they talked about something that looked weird in their flight vicinity. Our enemies have known this for decades, and they make a $700 balloon that looks batshit crazy and weird on purpose, and then put a $400,000 listening device to it and float it over a nuclear base or a naval facility. All of those things that they talk about can be applied to that kind of tech and those kind of sightings, even down to David Fravor. And I think I don't think in a public hearing we would get genuine answers from David Fravor, but I think everything he saw was Black Project stuff. There are
so you believe what Fravor saw? He's telling the truth about what he saw.
I think he's telling partial truths on what he saw. I think, again, the main mission of this whole discussion, the main mission is to cover up a huge embarrassment that the Air Force has made. They've made a fucking mess out of UFOs. Such a big mess that they had to use UFOs to get people in Congress interested that there are fucking drones flying over our most sensitive airspaces. And the scarier part is that they can use drone swarm technology at a very cheap rate and cause major destruction. You get a swarm of 40, 50 drones, and I've said this 100,000 times, and you strap anthrax canisters to those things and fly them into Times Square or Santa Monica Pier, that is what they're talking about behind the scenes, in my opinion. To me, that's a way more terrestrial threat.
Terrifying.
Because
give me fucking aliens any day.
Any fucking day. And we've even heard lawmakers say that exact thing. Like, if these aren't aliens, boy, I'm going to be really afraid if this is China. And that's exactly who it is. And the biggest problem, they're playing catch up right now. And the UAP office, the new Aero office, is not there to find aliens. They're going to pretend that's what it's about. That's the front-facing part of it. But really, the discussion, I think, happening behind the scenes is all about national security and this drone problem. Because when this does happen, and I think it will, people are going to be asking fucking questions. How did this happen? How did this happen? How did you guys fuck up this badly? We made fun of UFO reports for fucking 50 years, and we created this national security problem, this blind spot that we didn't think our enemies would take advantage of. That's going to be the answer to a fucking drone attack in Times Square. Fuck, dude. Like, good luck. And so that's what they're preparing for. That's what this is all about.
So all Lou's job is basically to keep us thinking it's UFOs.
I think what Lou's job is to get the UFO bug in your ear, in your brain, and then that
until this gets fixed
to look into it more. And then I think what happens is the center goes, oh shit, there's a government guy that just came out talking about UFO. Look at this video, just like we did. We're like, holy fuck, look at these videos. Well, shit, I'm on a national security committee. Let me see what the fuck's going on. And then they look into it and they go, oh, fuck. It's not aliens. It's fucking way worse. It's way worse. And now we need a budget to look at this without giving the real reason as to why we need the budget now. Now we need the budget now because we're 15 years behind the 8 ball. And that's why you see in the legislation the impetus, the importance of, we're not going to prosecute you or demote you or give you, shittier shifts or less flight time if you report one of these things. We want you to report these things because we need to get a catalog of what they're fucking doing. So that way we can start building a fucking office to directly deal with this issue. And the UFO thing is a lot more mysterious, and people are going to ask a lot less questions. They're going to be more curious about that than the actual underlying issue. And we've had reports like in The Drive a couple of years ago. I believe it was Tyler Rogaway that wrote a fucking novel on this. And that article was probably my first big red flag that this is not a UFO thing. This is a fucking national security thing. It's a big problem because F-16s cannot shoot down drones the size of an iPad. They're not designed to do that, let alone shoot down 60 of them. Sometimes those things don't even show up on radar.
And let's face it, you cannot shoot if they are alien and they've been coming here for thousands of years. I guarantee you ain't gonna shoot them motherfuckers down.
No, you're not. And here's the thing, right? Because everybody, but I think the biggest question I get now is, well, you don't believe. You don't believe. It's like, look, I would be really naive to think that the possibility is not there. Mathematically speaking, life exists outside of this solar system. That's a fact. I'm not going to even argue that. It's dumb. It's literally a math equation. The odds of them coming here are really low. Really, really low. But that doesn't mean it's not happening or hasn't happened. I think if it is happening, at best, at the very best, we've only been able to observe it. I think we've been able to observe it. If we've been observing it, it's been with high definition cameras, heat sensors, all sorts of different sensors that maybe they're picking it up on. But past that, there's never been a recovered crash of one. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa Bowden. No, not one has ever crashed. Not one has ever been reverse engineered. At least this is what I believe. Belief. It's not even belief. It's never been proven. It's a fact. There's no proof. An alien's never been dissected by a team of scientists. At best, I think it's just been inspiration. I think if you've got a huge national security intelligence gathering system observing something like that, I think the first question is, how does it work? Can we reproduce it? How do we do that? And I think, okay, let's get some people on it. Let's acquire some dollars, black projects, whatever we got to do to put our money and our best minds on coming even remotely close to figuring this out. Maybe that's led to other advancements in aerospace. Who knows? But at best, that's, I think, what's happened. I don't think people are getting abducted. I don't think they're taking cows. I don't think
people think they're getting abducted, though. I've spoke to people on my channel who I know you have.
Yeah.
How many of you spoke to, though, that you believe that person?
I believe they've had an experience. I believe they've had some sort of form of PTSD. But the thing that I've noticed with almost every single one of those folks especially the abductees,
they want to believe,
who are super convincing. No, it's not that they want to believe. and I don't want to say 10 out of 10 because that's too final. It's just got too much finality on it. But I'd say 9.5 out of 10 have had major traumatic experiences in their life, visceral traumatic experiences, whether it be through abuse of themselves through drugs or somebody else abusing them as a kid or an adult. I think it is rampant in this community, and they use this as a way to cope with their post-traumatic stress syndrome. Instead of going to see an actual licensed independent therapist, they go to UFO Twitter, or they go to Contact in the Desert, and they get their delusion fed there. Could I be wrong on this? Sure, I could be. Maybe we are getting abducted, but I'm going to need something a little better than just you saying it. Sorry.
The only thing that is for me the common, other than the flying saucer. I mean, let's face it, the flying saucer that's not trendy anymore.
Right.
That's long gone. No, who gives a shit about?
What else is gone? You know what else is gone? Weirdly enough, cattle mutilations. Those don't happen as much anymore. You know what else is gone? Crop circles. Where'd those go? Where'd all the crash things go? Why come nothing crashes anymore? Like, yeah, it comes in phases, man. In phases.
Why do you think that my logo, for one, the alien gray is such a thing that people have talked about all over the world? Then
I think it just takes one.
You're an atheist, right? You're an atheist.
I'm an agnostic.
Right.
I wouldn't call myself an atheist. I think maybe I had an atheist streak there for maybe 5 years, but it just doesn't make any sense to me that there's nothing. I don't think, I just don't believe in the biblical sense of God. I think God is in the details of the things you do. Sometimes you wander off the path with the things that you're doing. But at the end of the day, I think that's really where you'll find God. But yeah, I wouldn't call myself an atheist.
Because I don't know if the name's popped up in any of your research when it's come to UFOs, but Crowley and his depiction of what Lou said, the demons. But yeah, the little guy.
Is that Crowley on the left?
That is, yeah. Well, yeah, I hope so.
I mean, does that look like a guy that is being straight with you?
That looks like a guy who's took way too many drugs and done a lot of.
That's another thing too, man.
He wasn't a good guy.
Well, that's another thing.
But he did draw an alien gray.
Look, there have been examples throughout history of tribes shaping newborns' heads in that shape. That shape is not new. Yeah. Like, that's not a new thing. I think since the beginning of time, humans have been telling stories, and the proof is in the paintings on the walls in the caves. We've been storytellers. We always have been. And I think that certain things stick. Like mythology. Certain mythologies stick. And I think, especially with the explosion of telephones and communicating at lightning speed, I think things like that tend to either subconsciously or consciously, they're borrowed by a lot of these experiencers. And if you talk to anybody who's ever had sleep paralysis, they always talk about seeing a figure.
Yeah,
there's always a figure.
I've had sleep paralysis. Yeah. I saw a black shadow figure.
At the end and sometimes those things have big eyes too. In some of those cases, no eyes for you. But yeah, I mean, dude, I think a lot of this stuff is misinterpretation or
mushrooms.
Again, like mushrooms are a big thing. I mean, psychedelics are a big thing. Have you read that Rolling Stone article about Jeremy Corbell?
I glanced through it, but I don't. You might not know this, Lou, but I'm extremely dyslexic. I have to get my wife has to when I do bedtime stories for my little boys. I make them up.
Have her read it to you, because
I've read a bit of it.
Yeah, the end of it is quite interesting, and it's basically Jeremy Corbell ends the interview with like, "Hey man, let's go take some mushrooms, and I'll show you some real UFOs." And it's like, oh, these guys are just a bunch of fucking hippies.
Yeah,
they're just a bunch of hippies buying their own bullshit. Like, you know.
I listened to George Knapp and is it the Weaponized podcast? I listened to that.
Yeah,
I heard.
Can't listen to it. I tried.
See, I enjoy it.
I tried. I can't. I enjoy. And that's it. Well, that's the thing for me, is I can't enjoy this shit anymore. It's.
I take it for what it is, though.
That's cool. I mean, we're just different. You know, for me, I guess I'm taking it just more personally, because I felt like I built relationships with a lot of these folks. But for me, the best sort of analogy I can use is that, I mean, have you seen that movie They Live?
Yes.
Putting on the glasses. Once you put them on, I can't unsee the bullshit now. Everything I listen to, oh, I love it. Everything I see in this community, I just see the big billboard that says consume. You know, like, that's all I see now, especially in podcasts like Weaponized. Like, to me, that is just ultimate consumption. But to me, it's who the hell am I to tell you what to consume? But it's like, have you seen these shows about Scientologists who get out of Scientology?
Yep.
Usually their main missions become helping other people get out of Scientology. And I feel like, in a way, that's kind of how I am right now. It's, I can't get out of it. Like, I see the cults, I see the people in it. I'm trying to shake the shit out of them and slap them in the face and put some cold bucket of water on them, and they're just not waking up. And I don't know why that bothers me. I don't know why I feel like I owe it to anybody, because I don't. I don't owe this community shit. I've done enough for you guys. I've done everything to empower you guys. Everything I possibly can to empower you guys. And just the way it's turned. So I just can't look at it like that anymore, dude. I just can't.
One thing I will say, and that's for anybody who says anything negative about yourself when it comes to UFOs, I know no matter if you're wrong or if you're right or if you're just somewhere in the middle, you are in it for the right reason. Because for anybody to and I don't mean to be brutal, Lou, but I'm going to be, to terminate something that was going to fucking skyrocket, you're either fucking batshit crazy or you've got some fucking extreme morals. And I would go with the second option. I think you've got extreme morals.
Thank you. I wish more people would see it that way.
This is why I wanted to get you back on. Lee wanted to be my co-host. Lee was gutted that he couldn't make it tonight. He's got a gig tonight. And I messaged him and said, Lou's coming on. He's like, fuck. He said you've got to get him on the Sunday show at some point with me and Dave. So they would love to have you on the Sunday show at some point.
I'd be happy to. More than happy.
But I know you're in this for the right reasons. Do I know you're right? Absolutely not.
Look, here's the thing, dude. I want to be wrong. Like, I want it to be aliens. I want them to be here. I don't know if I would want alien abductions to be real, but do I want the reality of back engineering alien craft to come out? Oh, fuck yes, I do. Hell yes. I would love that. I would love to be wrong, dude. But just after my experience, after everything that I've been through, and that I've seen, it's just everything in my gut is screaming bullshit. Every ounce of me, even in parts of me in the 2 years up to that point, there were parts of me where just like, Lou, you know, this is bullshit. Yes, maybe you're right. You know, just that internal struggle. It was rough, man. It was a hard thing to do. It's not easy. And I still like in a way I still struggle with it, right? Because I kind of relaunched the channel as a gaming, review channel, and I do those things. And now I also started talking about UFOs again because I just can't get it out of my it will always be a part of me. I'll always want answers to what I saw or what I think I saw.
What did you see? What did you see? Because I honestly don't know your story.
Well, it's again, it's a 40-year-old memory. It's a 40-year-old memory. Like I have, or 30-year-old memory. I have to lead with that. And also that it's not proof, right? It's not proof. This is just a story. But I was at a birthday party. I was at a barbecue. My best friend had invited me to, I didn't know anybody there. And after about 6 hours of hanging out, it got dark. We saw a light in the sky, a girl who was looking at this light in the sky. We walked over to her. We're like, what the hell are you looking at? She points up. We're like, oh, that's weird. Looked like for a second, I was like, oh shit, maybe it's the Goodyear blimp, because the Goodyear blimp, there was an air base. There was an airport that housed the Goodyear blimp that was really close to where I live. And it would fly over the stadium. At the time was Joe Robbie Stadium, for football games, but it wasn't football season. But maybe it was a baseball game. And I was just looking at it, and I was just waiting for it to turn so I could see the Goodyear on it, but it never made that turn. And then the next thing I remember is that it's hovering, maybe 200 yards away over a field that was a cow field. It was a cow field. It was of all the things, right? So it was, like where I lived in Florida, there was really big, like people would have houses on really big pieces of property, like 2, 3, 4 acres. And so sometimes those houses would line, there's a lot of cow fields. There used to be a ton of cow fields. Now, not as many in that part of Florida. And so having a cow field next to your house, it wasn't something extraordinary. That was pretty common. The way it looked like, kind of like a lemon, where the smaller half of the lemon was bigger than the top half. I remember it having edges, like it looked mechanical. It looked like a machine, but
how big are you seeing this in the sky? Just demonstrate.
So no, it looks like if I'm holding my hand out, it was probably as big as my hand. So the way I remember it was like, it was big. It was like the way I described it was 2 school buses stacked on top of one another. That's how big it was. It was long and it was big. But the thing that I remember was the metal. The metal like glowed. It was like a bright white in the middle, and then it emanated green. That's what I remember. And then when it was over the field, that's when the rest of the party was like, oh fuck, what's that? And they started coming over to where we were. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, shit, I got to get a better look at this thing. I ran toward it, and I had to run away from it to get back toward it because there was a fence there. And as I'm running toward it, I could see the cow pasture had trees that lined first. There was a road, a whole bunch of really tall pine trees, and then the cow field. And so while I was running toward that road to get to the fence where the cow field was, the craft would go behind the trees as I was getting closer to it. And after like the second or third tree, I was expecting it to pop out here, and it was gone. It was gone. It was fucking weird, dude. But as a 42-year-old adult,
don't be the same age.
Yeah. And listening to, I used to listen to a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he would talk about how memory works. and how every time you access something you remember, you're not accessing the time you remembered it. You're accessing the last time you remembered it. So it's like a copy of 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 a copy for infinity for the last 30 years.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. Yeah.
So I can't put that on and I've said this, man, God, I can't put that on a senator's desk and say, believe me.
But are you still in touch with any of the people that were there?
One person. And I don't love talking to him because he's a hard, very extreme Christian, like believes that dinosaurs and humans walk the planet at the same time kind of Christian. And I've just had some really frustrating, just awful conversations with him, especially around the Trump sort of election, where he was just espousing some really wild shit. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so, yeah, I don't talk to him much these days. But it used to be when we would talk like once every year, and just kind of be like, hey, you remember that thing? Yeah, I remember that thing. I sure do. So
I do find that interesting with the whole UFO thing. There's definitely a left, there's definitely a right, and there doesn't seem to. I'm an in between guy. I'm not a left or a right guy. Left or right. I don't really care. Just be a decent fucking human being.
Right. Exactly. Like I try to think of myself as a centrist, more than left or right. I think I have some conservative values, and I also think I have some liberal values. And the one thing I've never tried to do is limit anybody's speech. That's what I was trying to explain to Manny when last time I was on this show. Like, you can say whatever the fuck you want, dude. That's why I let you, use my videos. I didn't copyright strike you. Like, I wasn't that guy. I know I don't like, and since then, just we've had much more cordial conversations, and I understand a lot better where he's coming from, and he understands a lot better where I'm coming from. And I know he's working on other projects, and I wish him nothing but the best. But at the time, I was like, it's not a good film. Like, it's just not. It's unwatchable. It was hard for me to get through half of it, let alone all of it. So everything that you're putting in there, you're losing people. It's not coming across, and my advice to him before we even had the conversation on your show was like, I would go back and re-edit it. I would really go back and just look at this again and see how you could improve it, maybe make it shorter, make it more concise, to the point. And so, like, yeah, dude, like I've just tried to do my best to not step on toes purposefully. I tried to be as considerate to everyone as I could be, but then once I saw that bought me nothing. That 2 years of that bought me nothing. The second I questioned the leader, the second I just simply asked myself the question and told my audience, hey, I think there's something wrong here.
Did you know Squiddy was going to ask that question? Squiddy.
Yeah, dude, I told him I told him to ask the question. That was a question that I had. I came up with that question 2.5 years ago when we started getting Lou on the show, because I had gotten a text message from someone.
For anybody in the chat that doesn't know what the question was, it was, Lou, do you have Psychopath accounts?
Yeah, and because I had heard the rumor, and I had also seen I think it was Brian Bender or someone like that call him out, be like dude, you're fucking, like, go to sleep, Lou. like something like that. I was like, oh shit, that's actually him. And we had me, Michael, and at the time our producer Alex had an hour-long discussion about whether or not we should ask that question. And And ultimately, it was my show, you know, so I came to the decision like, okay, look, we're not 60 minutes. Like, we're not trying to get to the bottom of this, you know, we're not trying to fucking ruffle feathers. Like, there's only, in my mind, there was only one good answer to that question. Just one. The only answer you could give to that question is no, I do not have any sock puppet accounts. Anything outside of that immediately opens up a can of worms. Immediately. So I think part of me knew it was him. And part of me did not want to ostracize him that way because we were buddies. We were pals, you know, especially the way we started off our relationship. I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold on to that information. I'm going to hold on. That would, again, when I would talk about red flags that went up along the 2 years of this journey, that was one of the red flags. And that happened early. Real early in this process, but the information was coming from someone who I thought at the time was a little unhinged, you know, and I was like, since then, I went back and apologized. I said, you were 100% right. I'm sorry. I ignored you.
You spoke to him behind the scenes, didn't you, as well?
To Lou, yeah. Well, on very few times. Very, very few times. That text message that he sent that it essentially leaked, that was one of maybe 4 or 5 exchanges that we had privately.
Did you ever get...
I never bothered him. I never wanted to be I never wanted to be a star fucker. You know what I mean?
Behind the scenes, though, did you ever get to the bottom of the bullshit excuse why him and Melon jumped ship from TTSA?
No.
Oh. Why do you think?
But I got the sense from him that they lost a lot of money, especially Lou, doing that because he had to buy a house in California, which is not fucking cheap. If you know anything about real estate in California, in Southern California, in San Diego, like getting a fucking condo is almost a $1 million affair, you know, like, so my sense was that they moved there. They essentially put all of their eggs in this TTSA basket and it went belly up. They ran out of money for whatever the reasons. My guess is that
not enough investment.
Yeah. Well, I think they put too much money into producing stuff like books and movies and shows. And there was no plan to it. They were just like, let's produce all of it. And that shit's expensive in
also,
California.
Producing that as well, you know, that's it's gonna be expensive.
That's gonna be super. I mean, if you're building a model of it anyway. But I can tell you, making a movie is almost as expensive as maybe building one of those. I mean, of course, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying. Like, movies aren't cheap, man. Production isn't cheap. That shit's expensive. And so I think when all the money was pissed away and the news was delivered, well, we can't pay you anymore. I think it was like, well, what the fuck are we supposed to do now? You know? So I think I don't know any of this because I never asked, because I was never that guy. I never wanted answers to questions that maybe I didn't really want the answer to. And that was one of those things. I was just like, I get the feeling that Lou lost a lot of money doing that. I don't get the feeling that he walked away with a fucking check. I think he walked away pissed off. And I think he walked away going, I could do this by myself. And
you don't think that he was always supposed to? You don't think he was always supposed to be the guy? Because I mean, I know your feelings on the doctor. You know, the doctor, Stephen.
Yeah.
But he did say that he thought Tom DeLonge was being used, and from somebody
who was I?
Yeah, well, I wasn't a big Blink 182 fan, but my mates were into Blink 182, so I listened to Blink 182. I was more the trance kid. I was the guy that went to the Creamfields and all that jazz. But I knew from watching stuff when I was younger that Tom DeLonge was always into UFOs. Always.
Yeah.
He had a lot of money ish. He's got the charisma. He's a likable guy.
For sure.
He seems like the guy that it'd be easy to buy in to the newcomer of UFOs. Something went wrong. Lou took over. But what I can't get my head around is why. Because he got all these people behind him. All these people he got behind him. The Hal put off the ex-Scientologist guy. I think he's still a Scientologist. I have no idea. He got these guys behind him. Yeah. These guys fucked off once they'd done their job that didn't seem to work with TTSA. Do you think that, because you seem more in the know than most people I know behind the scenes, and I think sometimes you keep a lot of it to yourself because you don't want to say something that might, I'm not going to say get you into trouble, but something that you might regret. But I'm just wondering if you think that these guys may have been picked to go in.
I mean, I think the way Tom DeLonge describes it is he emailed them.
Yeah, but to get an interview with a general that tells you something about fucking we have an alien.
I mean, I think I really don't know. It's a lot easier to get in the door when you're the lead singer and creative sort of drive behind one of the biggest rock bands that ever existed. Even if a senator doesn't know who you are.
Really?
Something about that's just tantalizing to some people. Yeah, I think, being a fucking general is boring, maybe meeting a rock star that your kid's really into so you can connect with your son or some shit. I have no idea. Like, I don't think Lou Elizondo took over anything at TTSA. I think the problem was Tom DeLonge was running all of it and he was making the decisions with them. That's the vibe I get, is that all of the money was pissed away on production, on merchandise that they can't get rid of, that nobody's buying. Like, nobody's consuming the comic books that they're writing. The dead poet Anderson or whatever the fuck it is. Nobody's consuming. I saw a trailer for the Monsters of California. It actually looks pretty good, but
is that with the bike scene in the but it looks amazing. That to be fair.
It looked good. The trailer looked pretty good. I actually played golf with one of the main actors in it, and I was like, "Fuck, this is actually this looks good," but it's taking a long fucking time. And I know for sure that movie was filmed at least 3 years ago. Unless a production has run out of money, it doesn't take 3 years to produce a film. And I think that's exactly what happened. I think they shot the film. After shooting it, they ran out of money. They filed for bankruptcy and they paid somebody to cut a trailer together to garner interest from studios to possibly sell it to either Netflix or yada, 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 yada. I genuinely think that everyone, and this is where I'll defend Lou. I think Lou Elizondo got the biggest shaft out of that whole TTSA thing, because Lou Elizondo isn't rich. Like, he's not rich like Chris Mellon rich. He's not Tom DeLonge rich. I don't think he's Hal Puthoff or even who was the other guy that was there rich. Like, he's a government contractor. He makes a decent salary, but he's not fucking rich. He's very much middle class person. So when that middle class person bets everything they have to move somewhere, and because they think something is new and exciting and it's going to work, and then it doesn't. I think you saw he took all his shit and he went to Wyoming, like where it's fucking cheap. It's cheap as shit to move out there. You could probably sell your house out there and get a really nice piece of property in Wyoming. And that's exactly what he did. So from that aspect, I this is why I genuinely believe this is just a bunch of people who came into the conversation with a belief system. They already believed it. So they're very susceptible to push that belief, I think, to a point where now it's convinced lawmakers to look at it. And I just don't know. I can't figure out if that's on purpose or if that's just accidental. Like, I don't have proof of either way. I just don't know. I don't know if Lou Elizondo is part of, like, the last video I did with the whole Chat GPT scenario. Is he part
that's insane, that thing.
Is he part of this, like, essentially a mission within the United States to garner more public interests in our airspace so we can get a budget to protect Americans? Like, I think that's that is what is at the core of this. Or is it just a whole bunch of believers that have just run buck shit wild with this story and have taken it, like they've taken this lie to the highest levels of government. And if it's a lie, if it's a belief system that they're pushing at these levels, they're going to get in trouble. Like, I think, I don't know, but I think that's why you see, conversations between the DOD, legal conversations, talking about legal action from Lou Elizondo towards the DOD, and there being internal investigations about the allegations that Elizondo's making about certain people or certain situations. And we haven't heard the the conclusions of these investigations. But both sides seem to be lawyering up. Why? Why is Lou Elizondo getting the same attorney that represented Kyle Rittenhouse? Why is he getting that attorney? To me, that's an interesting question. Like, why is that the guy that's threatening John Greenwald when he's in the middle of a video presentation, that he better not say anything that makes him liable? It's just like, the video's not even done premiering and you're already lobbing legal threats at someone who's just putting information out there that goes against your narrative.
What I never got was his lawyer. What's his name? Cauliflower Head. I can't remember his name. Got a head like a cauliflower.
Head like a cauliflower. I don't know.
The lawyer guy that did work for Greer as well. His name's just gone straight out of my head.
Yeah. I've never heard anybody call it had
he's got really white hair. like fluffy hair.
Oh, you talk about Danny Sheehan?
That's Danny. Good old Dan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never understood that because Lou, he didn't like Greer. He made that very clear, called the guy a terrorist. But I don't know if Daniel was Greer's lawyer, but he was, but he worked for Lou. Is that not a conflict of interest? Because it is in our country.
I asked Lou on my show. I think that was the 6th interview where I was like, don't you think it's a conflict of interest that your attorney's Danny Sheehan and he's also Stephen Greer's right-hand man?
Yeah.
And former attorney? Like, doesn't that muddy the waters a little bit? And he told me, I think his answer to that was, don't be so emotional about it. Don't let your emotions get a hold of you, because, and his whole logic was, well, Danny Sheehan, Watergate, Silkwood, like all of these monumental either human rights or civil rights cases that he was at the forefront of. Like, just remember, this is what this guy's done. Here's his resume. Instead of answering the question, like, don't you think it's fucking weird that this guy's your attorney and he's also like, and you just called Stephen Greenstreet a terrorist? Like, he's working for both sides. Like, I don't understand. Like, for me, the optics of it, and I told him right there on the show, and this is what I find so hilarious about people who tell me that I gave the guy softball interviews and questions. It's just not true. Maybe the first 2 or 3 interviews were, just because we're getting to know him, he's getting to know us. I'm not a professional interviewer. I don't do this I don't interview people. I've never done that.
You do good interviews, mate.
But the point being is that, you know, like we brought that up to him, and I, you know, yeah, you know, his answers weren't great, especially in retrospect. But yeah, dude, it's like those things I think about. And that's why I'm like, I have no idea what the hell's going on. Like, it could be a multitude of things. Like, it could be an absolutely very sophisticated psyop, or it could just be a bunch of fucking UFO nutballs within our government telling a very fantastical story, and it just got out of control. And we're going to know here, I think, in the next 2 to 3 years, depending on what kind of information comes out and what happens with this Arrow office. I think it's mostly, if what I say is true, I think it's going to be mostly, you know, keep the office open, using the UFO promise to keep people interested and keep the budget there. Because anytime a senator or a congressman tweets about UFOs, it's their most popular tweet. It's the most retweeted and liked thing on their timeline. If you don't believe me, go look at Gillibrand's fucking timeline. Like, she could put up, you know, she could post something about a bill that helps veterans get health care. It'll get 12 likes and a retweet. And then she posts some ambiguous thing that she said about UFOs, and it's 300 retweets and thousands of likes. Like, I think the UFO part of this keeps the conversation going, because it's that it's like that picture, that analogy of, you know, you've got a stick with a carrot and you got a super hungry horse, and you just pop that carrot and he'll go forever until he just doesn't realize that he's never going to get the carrot that's right in front of his face. And that's what ufology is. It's always around the corner. It's so close. We're so close. It's almost there. Like Gary Nolan said the other day, like, the woo is around the corner, and like he used the word around the corner. I was like, dude, they've been saying disclosures around the corner for fucking almost 80 years. We're so close. We're so close. We're right there. And it never, ever, ever comes. I was just watching a George Knapp interview with Lou Elizondo from 2018. And, you know, George's like, yeah, some big stuff coming up in 2019, huh? Can you maybe give us a hint? Like, we're going to be apparently some big things. And nothing.
Did you ever get Gary on?
Gary Nolan?
Yeah.
No, he blocked me for no reason. Like, before, like, it was super weird. And I think it was around the time when, like, right before the whole Lou Elizondo thing happened, there were a couple of episodes that we were super critical of the narrative. Like, me and Rather were having conversations where we're just like, man, this doesn't make sense. This is just weird. I can't specifically remember what we were talking about, but I know that people who love Lou were telling him about these shows. And I think it was building up to a point where we got the response when we asked about the sock puppets, when we got, you know, if I called your mother a hooker, rather. Like, I think all of that was like, there was an unspoken, like, and that's what prompted me to text Lou after that show, after our final show. I was like, dude, is everything okay? Like, you seem really pissed off. Like, it seemed like something was bothering you. You know, I just want to make sure it's not something that we said or we did, or that's something that somebody told you. I think at the time it was, I think I know what it was. It was the Manny movie, the Who's Lou. There was calls from people like Thomas Fessler and a whole bunch of people on Twitter that were asking people to throw copyright claims against Manny's channel. And Thomas came to me privately and was like, "Hey, you know, he's using your footage. You should do a strike on it." I was like, "Yeah, that's the internet. That's the game we play. I don't like that he's using my footage." Yeah, I was like, I don't like that he's using it, but he has every right to. That's fair use. That's fair use, buddy. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. And I'm not going to, this is what I told Thomas. And I think this is the thing. This was sort of the beginning of the end. I had told Thomas basically go fuck himself. Like the fact that he's coming to me for anything. That guy is such a fucking thief. Go watch his show. He literally stole my show. Like, he stole the whole format of my show. He even stole the opening, like my opening line. Hello, good morning, good evening, good day, good afternoon. Like, he basically, aloha. Yeah, he basically stole that, and he just doesn't do the aloha. He stole the whole, we take the topic seriously, just not ourselves seriously. But he does it in a much lamer, much worse way, and so inauthentic. And it shows, because his channel has not grown one bit at all. Like, for as many views as his channel gets, nobody's subscribing because he got
a lot of views through the whole Bloom crisis.
Yeah, he got a lot of views. He got a lot of views off of me. He got a lot of views off of rallying the people that now hated me because I was saying what I said. He stole that crowd and threw fire on that gasoline while all of that shit was happening to me, and doing it with a fucking smile on his face while he's literally being a goddamn drug addict on YouTube. Like, the dude is the worst, the absolute worst. And when I saw Lou and Sean Cahill thanking him in that Skyfort blog post, that the thank you to Skyfort, when he put Thomas Fessler's name as a thank you for all of the good work he did, and didn't mention me, which is hilarious, because I've done more than any of those guys. I've done more than that UFO podcast. I've done more than Schmady Schmalins. I've done more than Thomas Fessler. I've done more than Richard Butt and that one other jerk that was on Thomas Fessler's show. I can't think of his name right now. Rob something, I think. Like, all of those dudes, all of those guys, fuck those guys. Like, I've got zero love for those dudes. And when I saw him and those guys supporting that guy, that's when I knew, holy shit, I was right. Like, I was right. Like, yeah, dude, just wild. I don't know what got me off on Thomas Fessler, but yeah, just like, just the piling on they did, and the fucking, and they immediately usurped what I was doing and made it their own thing, but way worse, because they've basically taken my format and cultified it, have made it. That's why I call my show the Church of Ufology now, because it's a fucking cult. It's a cult, yeah, and he is a pastor. I agree. You know, and if he's the pastor, then Lou is a prophet. And they all will never question the prophet. And it's wild to watch. Absolutely wild. Because I mean, there have been actual examples of Thomas Fessler being misogynistic, being racist, being all sorts of shit. And he took all those videos down. He took them all down. He erased his tweets. Like, the thing about me, I've never erased one tweet. Not one. I don't erase tweets. I don't do that.
Just your YouTube videos.
Just my YouTube videos, because I don't want those videos again. Like, I don't want them to help people get into rabbit holes that
you want
you
a
know what
clean
I'm saying?
slate.
I want a clean slate. And also, if I was going to relaunch a channel, to me, like, I couldn't do it with all those old videos up there.
What is the mission? What's the mission? What's the mission now? Because you have
fun. Have fun. That's the mission. I not give a shit about any of this stuff anymore, and just really give my unfiltered, raw opinion on it, and just make it more fun. That's why I'm doing the games. That's why I'm doing the movies. You know, like, so I can talk about shit I like. And
is it going to be like, is UFOs definitely going to stick? Because I'll be honest, me and Lee, Dave, we got excited when we saw that you was started doing the UFO stuff again. And I said, we're in a group chat. I went, he's back. Like,
yeah.
Is he going to stick?
Yeah. It's going to stick. I'm just trying to figure out how exactly I want to do it. I'm doing a little bit of lives, but I think really the thing that I think is the most effective is exactly what I just put out the other day, which is an edited rant, an edited opinion piece. Because I think that I think the mission is to have fun with that, but also get enjoyment in using their own words to deconstruct their own bullshit. Like, my next video is going to be all about calling Bob Lazar to testify in front of Congress. And there are multiple reasons why I want that to happen. First of all, I want to put the public pressure on Jeremy Corbell to make that call. I want Jeremy Corbell to use his platform to encourage people. Yeah, to encourage his fan base to call Bob Lazar into Congress and have him testify about the back engineering that he had access to. I want to hear a testimony under oath about the alien that he saw, or the craft that he went inside, or the Element 115. Did he steal it? If he did, where is it?
I'll tell you where it is. It's right there on my t-shirt. In the description, people. No, so did you ever buy Bob Lazar's story?
Well, what's funny, dude, is early on in my channel, I did a review of Bob Lazar. I did about 6 videos on him, and I think the one that really convinced me that he was full of shit was I saw a YouTube channel. I think they're called the Body Language Experts, and it's 3 body language experts that went over the Joe Rogan interview with Bob Lazar, and they deconstructed that entire video and basically came away with it going, he's full of shit. Like, he's setting up science that, I mean, right from the go, when he talks about that force field generator that when you push on it, it pushes back like a gravity, right? Remember that ball that he talks about? That is impossible science. So to ask him questions on impossible science, he can make anything up because it's fantasy. It's fucking fantasy. So right from the start, you can't question it. He's setting it up so you can't get a logical answer for it. And like, the thing that got me inspired to get Jeremy Corbell to call him into Congress was, oh my gosh, what was it? I just had it. I just lost a thought in my brain. Anyway, the point is just getting Bob Lazar in front of Congress to once and for all determine whether or not he's full of shit, because I think he would immediately buckle under the pressure of lying under oath. Now you're lying to fucking Congress. That's a whole nother ball game. So I want to see him under that kind of pressure and what he would do. But I think personally, I think he would fold, and I think it would absolutely destroy the foundation that George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell have been building this empire upon. I want more than anything to see Bob Lazar to go to Congress, but I think the only thing I want more than that is for Jeremy Corbell to also call for it. And I promise you, he never will. He might say it once or twice here and there, but he will not do it every day because we're supposed to get UFO hearings in April. We're supposed to get the congressional hearings in April, multiple hearings they're talking about this year. So we have multiple opportunities to determine whether or not Bob Lazar is telling the truth and whether or not Jeremy Corbell is telling the truth. Because when you've got Andre Carson, a lawmaker from Indiana, telling his fellow lawmakers that Jeremy Corbell has been getting this kind of information for many years, great, awesome. Let's bring his ass in the fucking Congress and have him testify under oath. Because I have a feeling that all of that bullshit that they spout on weaponized would crumble immediately under oath because they have no proof. There's zero evidence. And they know that the fucking bullshit that they've been spreading is exactly that. Just bullshit. It's headline grabbing, terrible, grainy, low quality stories. They're stories.
Do you think Jeremy, because he seems like a smart man, and Bricktop, I appreciate the super chat, but I won't attack my guest with a super chat.
What's the question? I'll answer anything. Hey, Luis, did you ever feel weird to criticize other channels for making money when you never shared revenue with your co-hosts? This is the dumbest fucking question, and I've addressed this a million times, but I'll answer you directly, Bricktop. I offered money to both of my co-hosts, both of them. They both declined. That's number one. Number two, I told them, okay, fine. If you're going to decline, once I hit a certain point,
Squiddy's got an amazing job.
He's got a killer job. But once I hit a certain point of revenue where I can comfortably live off of, where like if I'm quitting my job and building something really fun and cool that's making me a ton of money, I don't need to make a lot of money to be comfortable. And I told them the number's $4,000 a month. If this show ever makes $4,000 a month, no matter what you guys say, we're drawing up a contract and you guys are getting a piece of it, period, full stop. And they were cool with that. If the show ever got to that point, it never came close. It came, I think the closest it came was 1 month. It was $3,800. They didn't want money. They didn't want money. They never wanted money. I offered them money. They didn't take it. But they also knew that, like, nobody else wants to talk about this either. I was doing the show by myself for 2 years. I did the Big Phone Home 1 all by myself. You're talking about hundreds and thousands of hours of work that I did to build the show and get it to that point.
You gain friends that want to come on because they like you. And
correct. And but not only that, I'm just gonna. Who is gonna start writing checks from something that is literally in the process of being built? Like, I can't write checks I can't cash, you know? So if I first come my bills, and there are bills with doing a podcast, microphone, camera, stands, fucking subscriptions to streaming services. There's all sorts of shit. All sorts of money that I spend.
I still do StreamYard. It costs £43 a month.
It's fucking expensive.
I
pay for
Photoshop.
Yearly. Yeah, Photoshop. No, it's Photoshop, editing machines, keyboards, stream decks, fucking new computers, capture cards. Like, there are a multitude of things. So, no offense, take your question and shove it up your fucking ass. It's so fucking dumb. It's so dumb.
Well, here's the thing.
And here's the thing that pisses me off the most is that who the fuck are you to get angrier than Squid, Jane, or Mike? If Squid, Jane, or Mike were complaining about this, if this was something that they had beef with me on, then I would say, okay, hold on, what's going on? But they've never once said that. As a matter of fact, they've only said the opposite. They've only said the opposite. So the question is fucking stupid. It's fucking dumb. And yeah, not hundreds of thousands of hours, but I was saying hundreds. But then I think fucking 2 years of shows, over 300 shows, that's thousands of hours of content creating. Yeah. It's a lot, dude. It's a lot.
Here's the thing too. Like, me and Lee is 50-50, and that's only just recently happened. But he's already got a channel. Alien Addict has taken over his entire channel, so he's actually paying me more from his Patreons than I'm giving him this month. And Dave, if I offer Dave anything, that Dave just comes on now and again on a Sunday with Lee, because he makes the Sundays. He's always out on a Friday. He would just laugh at me, because that guy does not need my $10 or whatever I would be able to share out after expenses.
No, it's ridiculous, but it's also if
this grew and I became a fucking UFO superstar, I'd get all those motherfuckers on board.
No, for sure, dude. I mean, like, I was offered. I think the number we came up with was 10% of the company, essentially, if it became that big, but I was just like, let's see what happens, and the trajectory was going that way. It was definitely going that way.
Until you ended it.
Until I ended it. Not the show didn't. It's not that people didn't stop coming. Like, there were, I think, 600, 700 people in my last live stream. This guy, like, dude, if I started a channel with them, yes, 50-50, right down the middle. But that's not the case, man. Like, and I wouldn't, if I was coming here on Ollie's show once a week, it's because I'd want to be here. I wouldn't expect anything from Ollie. And that's also, like, if you know anything about content creation and brand building, going on each other's channels is how you do that. Like, every show that I did had links to Squid, Mike, and Jane. And at every top of every show and at the end of every show, we would mention those links and we'd point people to those links. They got followers and more views and stuff because of my show. Like, I was helping build their stuff too. Like, that's what you do in this field. Like, in any content creation, you have people that you respect and that you like watching their stuff, and you hope one day you can have them on your show, because that would be awesome, and that goes for video games, movie reviews, whatever. It doesn't matter.
I asked Rava why he doesn't do more on his own channel. He's like, with work and stuff like that, I don't really get time. For him, he just likes to come and chat and do the cool stuff. Just have a conversation.
Dude, Rather is awesome. He's a really cool dude. And to be 100% clear, like, they worked their asses off for me. Like, they committed I would say work their asses off, but they committed a lot of time to me, to my show, to come there once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week for 2 hours a day, and want to be there and actually show up at the scheduled time as consistently as they did. Fuck, man. If I could have paid them, they would have all made 100, a million each, whatever I could. If I was making $10 million a show, trust me, they would be making as much as they would let me give them.
I bet you Rava's house is immaculate.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm curious to. I've never met Rather in person, which is wild.
I'm sure it's
wild. Yeah.
Take that guy to you were talking about going to UFO Con for the first time.
Yeah, we're talking about next year going to the UFO Con and kind of crashing it and seeing what kind of trouble we could get into. So yeah.
I think that would be very interesting. I think you'd get approached by a lot of people who may disagree and say, Lou, it is aliens. You stop talking about these drones. That's what they want you to do. But I don't know where I am on the whole drone thing. I live in the UK. I've had experiences myself. I've seen stuff in the sky. It's not about me, but I have no idea what those lights are. No idea. But it makes sense what you're saying, and it makes sense the official footage that we're getting, the official stuff, that it is drones, because I see nothing in any of that footage, and I've been told by so many people that claim to be ufologists that thing moves insanely weird. That thing would kill whatever's inside there. I see zero. I don't
see that at all.
I see nothing.
I'll just say, let's use the standard that they put on the table, which is the 5 observables. Do any of those 3 videos display the 5 observables? I say no.
Because we don't see enough of it for a start.
Well, that's a start. But also, I mean, there's no instantaneous acceleration. There's no transmedium travel. There's no hypersonic velocity. There's no what's the other ones? Low visibility. I mean, you can see all 3 of them. And none of them make any sort of right angle turns or shoot off at ungodly speeds. Like, they're all linear. They're all on a track. What is so wild about them? And you've had, I think it's pretty settled. And even Sam Harris said this, that Mick West has done the best debunking on it. He's shown that those videos are average. And at the very least, if they're not average, if they're not terrestrial, then we're missing data. What was that?
That was a cat.
Oh, okay.
I think a next door neighbor's cat has just come into my house and attacked my other cat. Like, just 1 second, Mike.
Yeah, take your time. That was wild. Oh my goodness. So funny.
There we go. You stay there and stay calm. Stay calm. Don't you growl at me. I'm not the one that's come through the cat flap. Apologies there. Psycho cats.
That's fine. That's fine.
That scared the living shit out of me. Goose pimples. Thought it was my wife for a second. No, it definitely wasn't.
Not a rocket.
Good of you.
Not a rocket.
I clicked on it twice. I just can't help myself.
No, that's okay. To me, the funniest. It's so funny, dude.
No, we are
bold. How bold he is.
I honestly, I was excited to see what the video footage would be of that. Not a rocket, but I think all we're going to get is a line that goes from one screen to the other one. And it's probably right that it's not being classified as anything, that they know what it is. But could it have just been maybe a missile, rocket, whatever, that they just... nobody gave authorization for that thing to fire over there. What is it? It's unidentified.
I mean, I think they had all the authorization in the world. It was a war zone. Like, those pictures came from Iraq.
They don't know where they came from
during an active war zone, and then he's got the balls to turn around and say, "Not a rocket." Like, dude, it's just ballsy. It's ballsy, especially when people have already like seen the trails, the heat signature trails that the plume from the rocket is making on the video. Like, and it's not even video; they're frames. They're frames of a video.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating thing about all of the little tidbits we seem to get.
I mean, it's 30 frames of 30 frames in 1 second of video. and you got 3 frames. 3 frames.
That's what we got to work with.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no, we don't have to work with that. No, we don't. Like, I'm saying we should be pissed off when shit like that comes out, and everyone should be calling out Corbell and Knapp when they put stuff out like that, because it is so bad and so low quality. And again, doesn't come with any names, any sort of sources at all. It's just exposition. It's just exposition.
But here's the thing. What else looks like a rocket, a cigar-shaped UFO?
So many things.
So you can go with that. And if it's been classified as unidentified, UAP, whatever, that's all they have to do. And then go UFO Twitter. Go.
Right. No, they don't have to do much to get everybody. I mean, just take a look at
it's perfect.
The perfect example of what you just said is just go back and take a look at what the believers were saying, like what they were doing to the clips of lawmakers talking about the Chinese balloon. And if you watched every single one of those clips in their entirety, you walk away from those going, okay, these lawmakers are talking about a national security and flight safety issue. And they would take snippets of it and share it as if it was some confirmation that lawmakers are saying there's aliens in the atmosphere. And it's like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Oh, that's right. It's a cult. It's a cult. It's a cult.
But didn't it seem like the media was kind of like having a little innuendo in your country that it even came to our fucking media?
Yeah. I think there's that's the whole problem with this discussion, is that there's a lot of inferring. They're inferring it could be alien, could be. Technically speaking, we didn't make it. So technically speaking, it is alien. It is. So it's just, again, like I think they're very clever at doublespeak. Like they infer alien while at the same time giving the clear message, if you're really listening, that there's a big national security issue here. So that way, when something bad does happen, they could say, we've been telling you guys since 2017 that this is a problem. We've been telling you guys, and it's technically true. Since 2017, Christopher Mellon, Lou Elizondo, Sean Cahill, and that whole narrative push, the New York Times, all of that at its core was a national security flight safety issue with the inference of aliens. And that's what it is. That's what it's always been. And that they lead with aliens because it's the most interesting, but the underlying part of it is where the real truth is. And it's a very scary, very real issue. Very real issue. A lot more real than people being abducted by aliens or being spliced with cows or babies being taken from people's wombs. Like way more real than any of that stuff, and way more provable. And they're saying it right to our faces. They're saying it right to our faces.
If what you're saying is true, though, do you not think you're standing on dangerous ground?
I think it's a real mind fucker
as a content creator.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm just one person saying this. You know, if I was Joe Rogan, yeah, I think I'd be a little more worried. You know, but who am I? I'm nobody. Like, I've got no proof of this. I'm just guessing as much as you guys are. I think I'm guessing a little. I think my guess is just a little bit more informed because I feel like I was a little closer to the source of it. I talked to the source of it 7 times on my show. I've interacted with the source's friends, you know, and other colleagues, and I've seen the best evidence, you know, And it's the same evidence you've seen, and it's terrible. It's all terrible. I mean, how could you sit here, look me in the face, anyone look me in the face? I got Mick West to sign our UFO petition. What the fuck have you or anyone else done? And I'm not talking to you, Ollie. I'm just saying as a whole. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's okay. I ain't done much.
Like, what the fuck has anybody done? Like, you want to talk about boots on the ground? Great. What has that produced? It hasn't produced any real tangible proof. Not good enough to convince the world that what you're saying is happening. So the boots on the ground really haven't done shit. It's calling your lawmakers, actually trying to do something, not just talking about it. And yeah, maybe that doing something is useless. Maybe I'm just pissing in the wind, but at least I'm doing something. Like I'm actively trying to help. Whereas everybody else just kind of wants to just talk. You know, they want to call themselves a science podcast and talk about the possibilities of this. And they want to charge you $150 a seat to come watch them talk in New York City, you know, and then they want to charge people, what is it, $30 for every fucking live stream person that wants to come watch on a live stream. Like, and then don't release that information when it's taped. It could be released and edited on a YouTube channel. And then call yourselves like progress, like call yourselves doing the heavy lifting or the more important work. No, you're just a bunch of fucking assholes overcharging people to listen to other assholes talk about theories and guesses. Okay, so you've got a more open mind. Congratulations.
Speaking of theories and guesses, I before we bring it to a close, because we're heading towards the 2-hour mark, and I know you've got things to get on with, my lad. I predicted a few Joe Rogan things. One was Bob Lazar, and that was like a couple of months before it happened. I had a feeling when I knew the Jeremy Corbell thing was going on, I thought he's gonna go on with Bob Lazar. I also put out a video saying, which has not gone down well, that this would happen.
Yeah.
And it never did.
Yeah.
I don't think it will now, but did you think at some point that would happen?
I think it's going to happen when there's a book to sell.
Right.
That's when that will happen.
That would make a lot of sense.
Jeremy Corbell's got a movie to sell. Bob Lazar's got a movie to sell. George Knapp's got books to sell. So that's why they've been on the show. Chris Mellon is the only person that's been on the show that doesn't really have anything to sell. He's not selling anything. But again, like going back and listening to his interview, they're get a lot of double speak, a lot of here's what it is and here's what we're inferring. But I also think at the core, I think Chris Mellon is also a believer. And I think that's what, again, like, it's just like, you know, you got Hal Puthoff, who's a Scientologist. You've got a whole bunch of UFO believers and people who think remote viewing is a thing and that it's real. And just a bunch of woo thinkers. And I think they all found themselves, and it's just a perfect combination of absolute just something that's gotten, again, either way out of control or has got some serious purpose behind it. But I have no clue, man. I have no clue. It's tough to say, but yeah, I think you'll see, if you do see a Lou Elizondo, it will be because there's a book to sell. That's when I think that will come, because they've been talking about it for a while. But you want to know what I want to see more? Eric Weinstein talked to Bob Lazar. That's what I want to see. I'm fucking dying to see that. And that was something that was mentioned in the last time Weinstein was on Rogan's show. You got to talk to Lazar. Fuck, I remember that. Love that. I would love that, because Eric Weinstein is going to mop the floor with Bob Lazar. and he's going to show everybody that this is just a high school educated person. He never went to MIT. He never went to Cal State or Caltech. He's a liar. He's a liar.
You never got Bob Lazar in front of. There was plenty of opportunities in front of. Rest in peace. What's his name? Stanton Friedman. Just Jeremy defending.
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah, and I go back. I remember watching that when it happened the first time. I'm like, God damn, Jeremy was kind of a dick to a legend, like an absolute legend.
Was a bit of a dick.
And I think that was one of his last appearances, and I think that might have defeated him, because the exact same thing that happened to me kind of happened to Stanton at the end. Is he was questioning Corbell hard. And he was questioning the Bob Lazar narrative hard, and he did his research. And people in the audience were booing him. They were booing Stanton Friedman at the end because of.
I didn't hear I didn't realize
they were booing him. They were fucking booing him because Corbell was egging them on, and Corbell spoke to their beliefs. Whereas Stanton was just trying to keep it as straight as possible. He's saying, I went to the high school that he went to. I looked at his grades and they were piss poor. Like he was in the bottom percentile of his graduating class in high school. I went to MIT. I went to Caltech. I talked to the administration offices there, and they never heard of him. And the shit Corbell would come back with was just wild. And, Corbell was pushing his Lazar movie, and he was going to push that movie and make Bob Lazar the ultimate truth come hell or high water. And if I have to drown Stanton Friedman on my way there, then I'll drown Stanton Friedman on my way there. And that's exactly what he did. And I think about that shit, and it's the reason why it's the second video I'm making. I want Bob Lazar to get in front of Congress and tell those lies. That's what I want to see, because I'd like to see Bob Lazar go to jail for all of this shit that he's caused, all of this chaos and fraud. A lot of fraud that are taking advantage of a group of people that want to believe something, and they know that. That's what Alien Con is. That's why I've never been to a con. Never once in my life. Never been interested in. I was never interested in being at one as a speaker. Ever.
It's got such a weird ring to it. Alien Con.
But not only that, I always would I still cringe at the posters that they make for these cons. Why are they always so fucking bad? They're always so bad, like comically terrible. Then you see the headline speakers, Johnny Enoch and Jimmy Church and Billy whatever the fuck his name is. I want to say Crudup, but I know it's not Crudup. You know what I'm saying? I ever wanted my face on one of those posters. I would find it so fucking embarrassing to be on one of those posters.
But as somebody who saw something, and I'm assuming it was in 1993? 1993. So somebody's seen something in 1993.
Yeah, I was 12.
Do you think in your, if you had to put a hand on heart, you've got to pull a guess just right out of your ass. Just pull it out. Your tech, something different.
I've thought about this a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Earthly tech, not maybe your tech, just here tech.
After knowing what I know about how human memory works, and after the experience that I've had outside of my own UFO experience, and when I say the experience I've had, I mean the experience that was my show, I, hand on heart, genuinely believe at this point it was more likely a plasma ball or some sort of very rare phenomena like that.
A ball lightning thing.
Something, yeah, that was able to stick around and move from here to there. Maybe the atmosphere, I don't know. But if I had to take a guess, just because I can't trust my memory, not because I don't think it's not accurate, but because I know, scientifically speaking, my memory of it has changed tremendously since 1993. It's changed. That's fact. So I then start looking at, okay, what are the probabilities? What is more likely for this thing that I saw to be? And it's more likely to be, the math of it, more likely to be a rare weather phenomena that you only see, if you're lucky, once in your life, over the probability of that was an alien spacecraft visiting from another solar system. What has the higher probability? I'm asking you. If you're being honest, the math of it, what's higher probability of what I saw?
Well, I mean, the math of it, the higher probability would be some sort of natural phenomena.
So if I had to be forced, I think that's what I would go with, because that's just me trying to add as much common sense to what I saw as possible.
You saw something that was lemon shaped.
Yeah.
I don't know any ball lightning that looks like lemons.
How many times have you seen ball lightning?
I never have. I've seen some great YouTube videos.
Those don't count.
No, they don't.
Those don't count.
They're probably not real.
They're probably not real.
Some of them
because
are.
they're that rare.
They are
so
that rare.
There are. I talked to Ted Rowe about this, and there is, because Ted Rowe runs, forgetting the acronym for the website, but it's basically, he's been doing it since the 90s, where it's a website where the only reports that he takes are pilot reports. And he has a pilot report. He's got a case, and this actually happened, of a transatlantic flight. In the middle of the flight, a ball lightning showed up in the cabin and went all the way down the middle of the cabin and then just disappeared.
Holy mackerel.
In the middle of the flight. Okay. So you had the people on the plane who saw this, you had the stewardess. It was insane. And it was determined, after talking to everybody and getting all the eyewitness testimony, that it was a very rare plasma ball. And this is coming from Ted Rowe. I mean, if you've ever heard Ted Rowe talk,
I've heard the name,
Ted Rowe. I mean, Ted Rowe is an experiencer. Forget about believer. He's an experiencer. And for him to tell the story, like, yeah, those things, they happen. They happen. And I think misinterpreting something like, I think it is very easy for a barbecue of, a party of people to experience something like that, and everyone misinterprets exactly what they just saw, because they don't have reference for ball lightning or plasma balls or any of those types of things. That hurts me to say that. Like, it pains me, because my memory of it doesn't fit that description, right? It doesn't feel good. But again, if I'm using rationality, logic, reasoning, math, probability, likelihoods, that is more likely to be the case than the more fantastical version of my experience, which is the aliens and the craft and the how odd it was and the details that I gave you, right? Like, how could that be how could it be a plasma ball if he saw shape to it? I don't know if I saw shape to it. I'm saying that memory is
you
wrong.
Remember shape to it.
And I don't know if my memory of it is accurate anymore. And that's not fun. That's not fun for me to say. You know, like, I don't want to say that. I don't want to feel that way. But again, like, this whole experience, I have to question everything, including myself, as hard as I can. As hard as I can. And at the end of the day, it's just a story. It just happened to me. But don't take that and run with it as proof. Just like I wouldn't say don't do it with David Fravor, don't do it with Alex Dietrich, definitely don't do it with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. And don't do it with me. You know, we need to put, as a community, we need to have a higher standard of proof. And grainy, low-quality footage, we should be done with that at this point. Like, if anything, the last couple of weeks have shown us that they can get crystal clear video anytime they want. I mean, we just saw that Russian jet smack into a drone. So we know that the footage is crystal clear. Why are we getting these low resolution bullshit things with 3 frames or one single frame out of a 4-second video? Like, why are we getting those things? There's a reason.
That's all we're allowed to get.
That's
all we're supposed to see.
I think that's all there really is really the truth of it. That's all there really is. And
no, but what I'm saying there, if those are drones, yeah, they have the extra footage of those drones
for sure. But yeah, I don't think
show us that, because then the trick it falls apart.
But not only that, you just told your enemy what you found, exactly what you found, and that's that. The United States military is not interested in giving up sources and methods. That's one thing I definitely learned early in this process, is that they do not, no matter how old the methods are, they do not like giving those things up. And giving up pictures of spy drones is part of that process. They will never release the photos of those because they don't want their enemies to know exactly what we found. Why would they want that? You know, which balloon, if they're sending hundreds of these, which they are, there's hundreds of these things in our skies all the time. All the time. All the time.
We will get more. And Corbell will give you them.
You bet your ass he will. You bet your ass he will.
I will say one thing though. He was right about he was spot on with
I have seen the logs, I have seen the videos. We have attempted shoot downs of UAPs on a regular basis. We're talking as recently as last Friday.
Right. Listen to what he just said. We have attempted shoot downs of UAPs. Okay. So
drones.
Again, that clip is a chef's kiss example of exactly what they do. They infer alien. Like, that was the way he said that was, they're shooting these UAP down all the time, which is true. It is true. But what are those UAP? What are they? Are they truly unidentified? Or are they identified tech that we don't want to reveal because that would be giving up sources and methods to our enemies? That clip is exactly that's what Chris Mellon does. That's what Elizondo does. That's what the only person who didn't do that was DeLong. DeLong's just like, yeah, here's the video. Here's what I'm seeing.
Fucking give him the TR3B.
Check out this CGI TR3B, dude. Like, his belief system comes into the room 10 feet before he enters. Like, you know, the guy believes in this shit. And so that's why you shouldn't believe it. You shouldn't believe any of it.
Do you think Lou and all that and Chris and that was just watching that going, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that interview was like the beginning of the end, and that was really early in the process. Like I think you know, they were telling Tom, yo, chill the fuck out. Chill out with the alien thing, because we have to present this. So in 10 years, when they come back to us and they say, you promised us aliens, we can go check. We never promised you aliens. We never once did that. And they couldn't do that with Tom DeLonge, because you check in the first 3 months of that fucking company and you'll see real quick that he was not on board with that program. Like, I think that's why they were so freaked out when he did that, because it was promising people that this is aliens, and they don't want to do that. And there's a reason they're not doing that. There's a reason they infer and they never confirm. It's always inference. It's never confirmation. Ever. So yeah, man. I mean, like, you know, I could go on all day about that kind of stuff, but that's what I'll be focusing on. That sort of double speak, that coded talk that they do, where they cover their ass while selling, again, just getting people's interests, getting people to call Congress to get more dollars to look at our skies. I mean, it's the seven gears of ufology that I broke down in the last video I did. You know, it's to a T. Like, you know, that's why I was just like, holy shit, like, this is everything they're doing. Like, they came out with Tom DeLonge, and they started to the stars, and they got Joe Rogan and Lex Fridman and Tucker Carlson and a whole bunch of people to start, Eric Weinstein and Sam Harris, and they did the TV shows with Unidentified, and they did 60 Minutes, and they had the New York Times and the Atlantic, and they're adding all of these layers of credibility to it and inference, but they don't give you anything, and they don't promise you anything ever. And there's always the caveat of, well, it could be Chinese. Could be.
Chinese.
I don't know. Yeah, they do. It's fucking Chinese. Like, it's always Chinese. Like, you get, like, I don't think people really understand how much China does this shit. And to be fair, we do it to them just as much. But it's just, when and if are they ever going to take that next step of using that tech and that capability to hurt people, to hurt civilians? You know, like, when does if I don't think China has the gumption to make a move like that, unless they invade. If they invade Taiwan, which I don't think they would ever do, but if they did, I think that's when Americans would find out about the Chinese drone problem real fucking fast.
I mean, for anybody that is naive enough to not know this, understand this, drone warfare is definitely a thing. It's been going on for a long time. At least since the early 2000s. Almost 20 years. This shit's been going on. And I mean, like, I think it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken, that drone swarm technology was commercialized. It was available commercially, which tells me that the military had drone swarm technology, or at least was playing with that concept for at least 15 or 20 years. Well, here's the thing, which
would explain a lot of sightings if they were playing with shit like that.
Your last video on the chat, is it Chat PT? Chat PT, that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, I'm not into all that stuff, but there's the AIR and all that jazz. What we get as civilians, can you imagine the shit that they have that they just don't show us when it comes to AI?
Yeah.
But people, so for people that say, "Oh, AI," you can always tell because it can't fucking do hands. I guarantee what they have can.
Here's a real world example of technology that is right in your face and nobody knows how it works. So we have nuclear submarines and nuclear aircraft carriers that don't need to refuel for hundreds of years if they had to. They run off of nuclear power. And that right there, those engines, that technology is a solution for oil independence. Right there, it's staring us right in the face. We won't see that shit for 40 years. Not until we absolutely 100% got our backs up against the wall with some sort of either global conflict over oil or we just run out of it. One or the other, which is going to happen eventually. I mean, the world's oil is a limited resource. There's only so much that we can tap of it. And we're sitting on a clean, renewable, essentially free energy in our nuclear submarines, aircraft carriers, and drones. Okay. Now, if a drone doesn't have to refuel, like that's some wild tech, man.
Yeah.
That's some wild tech. And that's stuff that can really start changing how society works. But they're not going to release it until they've used it, until they've gotten every ounce of use out of it. And then if they can commercialize it, then they'll commercialize it. And then that's when you get, General Electric, they get a new contract for nuclear engines to power Virgin Atlantic. You know what I mean? Like in 20 years, when those engines are common everyday thing and the oil wars are over and we're working off of, power structures that run off of these nuclear capabilities, we're going to look back at this conversation and go, hey, we said that shit 20 years ago. Like, it's coming, but it doesn't happen overnight. And it doesn't happen until it's an absolute necessity. And sometimes it happens by accident. I think they probably stumbled on, I'm sure the military was like, fuck, how do we power all of our toys without oil? Can we do that? Would it be in our best interest to do that? The answer is fuck yes and yes. Absolutely it would be. And they've done it. They figured it out.
But where's the moolah in that?
What do you mean where's the moolah in that? Again,
where's the money?
I think
where's the money for the big companies that are already doing the oil?
No, they get I think some of those companies invest into these newer technologies. I think that's what ends up happening to them. I think you sell the technology to Shell or Mobil Oil Company, an American division of those companies, and those are the new power plants that run America. I think it's really simple, man. Like jet engines were first created for jet fighters, and they figured out a way to monetize that. You got a jet engine on every single commercial airline that's ever been made since the 50s. Where's the money? The money, trust me, the money's there, dude. It's called rebuilding an entire infrastructure and getting it ready for nuclear power.
I'm all up for infinite. Yeah, give me infinite any day of the week.
To
my
me,
bills down.
For me, it completely ends the conversation. Well, is nuclear safe? Well, if it's not, what's it doing on our aircraft carrier? Why would you put a nuclear power plant on something that could get hit with a missile if it's not safe?
I don't know if I'd trust my kids with anything nuclear.
Well, no, I wouldn't have your kids play with nuclear reactors. But my point being is that I think they've figured out a way to make nuclear power a lot safer than it was in the 60s and 70s. The technology's come a long, long, long way. And I think the Department of Energy is sitting on a lot of patents that will bear fruit in terms of contracts and patent sales and things like that. Like there's for every application, the only thing I think that society will always need oil for, like, people don't realize the microphones we're talking into, the cell phones we have, the headphones, your shoes, like clothes, all of those things, ink has oil. All of these things have oil in it. So to completely be 100% oil independent, I don't think will ever happen. Maybe one day, who knows, with 3D printing and where that's going, but even some 3D printing material has oil in it. Like, so like we're always in some way, I think, going to need it. But as far as how countries and infrastructures are powered, it's unsustainable. And I think the United States has already it has a solution, and it's had that solution for a decade now. And they improve on it every year. Like if you hear Michio Kaku, I love when Michio Kaku talks about this stuff. He talks about in 20 years, and he said this 10 years ago.
You'll be dead.
So, no, but he was saying it by the year 2020, right? We'll have the technology, we'll have a machine that can create matter. Now just stop and think about that for a second, what that means. So you can have a machine where you type in football and it fucking gives you a football, okay? You type in a vase and boom, you've got a vase. The problem with technology like this is when it's invented or when it comes to fruition, especially with technology like that, a matter maker, the technology is going to exist in 2020, but you won't be able to put that technology into society responsibly until the year 2080. Like how do you just can't put that in Walmart and go, okay, society, like, good luck with the matter maker, because then Johnny Dickhead goes home and types in fucking grenade or types in pipe bomb or types in fucking whatever that could be destructive. Like, that's why we can't just throw that shit into society. It's got to be tested. It's got to be perfected. It's got to have limits put on it. Like there have to be round table discussions like, okay, what are the implications to the world if we put this out there? It's kind of like an atomic bomb in a way. Like I'm sure there was discussions like, okay, do we drop this? If we do, what does that mean? Like, what are the drawbacks? What are the positives? Like, there are so many variables. And then there are things that you don't even think about because it wasn't even thinkable until it actually happens. So I think there are examples of shit like that all the time. It's within this conversation. That's what when I hear like, oh, pilots saw a craft go from the water to zip off in our atmosphere and went into space. Yeah, missiles do that all the time. Like, we have missiles that do that. We have drones that are launched from submarines and go places, then come back to the ocean, drop in the water, and then they're picked up by the submarine with a tether. Like, we have shit like that. We have drone systems that mimic planes to do fake invasions here while you're really flying over here. Like, there are so many things we have that people they really don't give humans enough credit for making cool shit. Like, we're pretty fucking smart. We have figured out a lot of neat shit and a lot of stuff that just people don't have access to yet. But it'll come because all of these technologies will be replaced with other things and new toys and new budgets and new ideas and yeah, man, I just there's a lot. The conversation's fun. There's a lot of holes you can go into. But I think the important thing is that you can always pull yourself out and just ask yourself, what are the facts? What do we know? What's real? Like, what is real? And so, that's where I try and stay focused on, because you can go all day into all of these other holes, and some of them are fun. Some of them I think are really dangerous and a waste of your time. And some of them I think end your life socially, like where you get in such a hole that you have no friends. You've alienated your family. The only thing you talk about when you do talk is this, like
what you're saying there is be careful on UFO Twitter.
Yeah. Be very careful.
We've gone for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. This is probably one of my longest ones. What's going on with Lou reviews, and when can we expect the next Church of Ufology?
Well, I do them all the time. Sometimes I do them live. Just depends on what comes up. I haven't done a show in about a week. I've just been really, really busy this last week. I got to review the last 2 episodes of Mandalorian, which the last episode was just, oh man, the worst.
Don't tell me.
The worst. That was so bad. But yeah, watch it. Well, I'll talk about it here.
Me and my little boy are watching.
Yeah, you like it? I like it. It's fun. It's fun.
I love the first two series. Loved.
First two been great. The first 3 episodes I really liked, but this 4th one, we'll see. But yeah, I'll be talking about that this weekend. As far as my next Church of Ufology, I'm going to try and get out my next edited one by sometime next week. I'm going to film it this weekend and then see how, because it takes a lot of editing to get those done. So I want to get it done before April, because April we have new hearings coming up apparently. So I want to put as much public pressure as I can. And, if you want to help me do that. But I once this video comes out, I'll be tagging Jeremy Corbell. I'll be tagging George Knapp. I'll be tagging Joe Rogan. I'll be tagging Dave Foley, the Rolling Stone, anybody who's had Jeremy Corbell on their show, and request that Corbell and others ask Congress to bring in Bob Lazar to testify before.
I feel a hashtag coming on.
Oh, we already have one. Hashtag Bob Lazar to Congress. Bob Lazar to Congress, number 2 Congress, hashtag Bob Lazar to Congress. It's already hashtag. It's already there.
All alien addicts that are on Twitter.
Yeah.
Let's help us.
Right? Like, why? Who doesn't? If Bob Lazar's being honest, he could open up the worms of disclosure right there for everyone. If I'm wrong, a congressional testimony would go a long way into shutting someone like me up. Right? So if he's telling the truth, if he's being honest, if he did work at Area 51, if he did touch Element 115, if he did help back engineer reverse technology, let's get him to testify before Congress so Congress can look into those programs. Because if those programs exist, they should be able to find them. They've got a budget somewhere. At the very least, you could at least confirm whether or not Bob Lazar was actually there, like he said he was. That's the very least you could do. So, yeah, man, whether you love or hate me, everybody should be on board for that, including Jeremy Corbell. Time to put his money where his mouth is. If he believes Bob Lazar is telling the truth, which he's said many, 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 many times, then let's get him to Congress. Let's get him to testify before congressional lawmakers in front of the American people. Let's do that. Seems logical.
That's exciting. I'm not much on Twitter, but when that goes out, I'll be tweeting.
Yeah, you look for it, man.
100% be tweeting, my lad.
It'll be. I made the thumbnail last night, so I'm excited to share.
Before I let you go, Lou, quick question. Linda Moulton Howe.
Yeah.
AI or real?
Oh man, she's real. Unfortunately, yeah, she's as real as they come, man. She's as real as they come. Oh my gosh, just the money, the money she makes. I mean, like, it's got to be really good. And we got a little taste of how good with the Corey. I don't know if you saw the Corey Good deposition.
I know Stephen was covering that Cambion.
Stephen did a great job and I just out of curiosity went and watched I think it was like 7 or 8 hours of deposition. And yeah, the guy was selling a fucking fairy tale and he knows it. He knows it.
So weird how he dressed partly as Michael Jackson.
Yo, it was weird. But that is exactly what I think would happen to Lazar in a congressional hearing. Because now you've got attorneys and lawmakers who are going to have questions formulated for this guy that are going to cut. They're going to cut, and he's going to be put on the spot to be like, okay, here's the moment of truth. You going to stick with this line of bullshit, or are you going to say, no, I didn't do it? Because if you lie to Congress, you're going to jail if you're Bob Lazar. If you're Bob Lazar, you're going to go to jail if you find out to be lying, especially if those lies help create an office and secure funds and cause all sorts of havoc, not only within the Department of Defense, within Congress, but just have caused havoc within society as far as just getting good facts out there, getting like information that people can use to better themselves, not put themselves deeper in a rabbit hole of fantasy. So I don't know, man. That's kind of just where I'm at. But
yeah, I want the sports model to be real, but I always go back to that.
I want it to be real too.
Billy Myers with the flying saucer stuck to the tree.
Yeah, but not only I love that you can go and find, like, they were talking about element 115. They were theorizing about that years before Lazar ever mentioned it. Years. There's a scientific paper written about the elements that will be coming because science could foresee that they were going to be discovered. The whole hand scanner, like, that was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That hand scanner it was the hand scanner that Bob Lazar talks about and that they talked about in the Lazar movie, the documentary. It's not a documentary, it's a movie. That hand scanner was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which came out in 1978, 77. 77, 78. So that's a full 10 years before. 10 years before Lazar came out. 11 years before Lazar came out and talked about a hand scanner that scans your bones, your bone density to get in. It's in a fucking Hollywood movie. And I think like stuff like that, I think Lazar, the nerdy kind of guy that he was, would have noticed shit like that. I've watched that movie 100 times. I never noticed that hand scanner in there until somebody pointed it out. I was like, oh shit, that's the exact same hand scanner that they took a picture of in the Lazar film. What's going on? Like, for me, that was like,
love him or hate him, the guy's a genius. Story's great.
Yeah,
did a good job. Still a good job.
I think I would love to hang out with him. I would love to party with him. He would be an absolute maniac. Like, my girlfriend's looking at me and she's getting hungry. But if I was single, like in my 20s, that would be the time I'd want to hang out and party with Bob Lazar. Because I know for sure that would be maybe one of the best nights of my life. No doubt in my mind, for sure. But outside of that, yeah, I think he's a menace. He's an absolute menace. He's a trickster, and I think he gets a kick out of tricking people. I think that's his thing. That's his. He gets enjoyment out of putting a huge story like he did out there. He gets a real fucking kick out of it. I think he does. He's sick like that. And that's just my theory. That's my thought, my opinion. But
I'm looking forward to seeing these hashtags. I want to see a response. Lou, thank you so much tonight. You've been phenomenal, mate, and I'd love to get you back on.
Yeah, man.
I'd love to see
let
you
me
in
know.
the gang. Lee definitely wants you. Lee
Yeah.
was sulking a little bit, so Lee would love you on the Sunday show. Don't know if you've met Lee before. He was ill when you came on the first time, but
Yeah.
cool guy and a big fan of yours. So love to get you on the Sunday show, mate.
Yeah, man. Yeah, if I've got the time, I'll come. I'll definitely come on. I got no problem. Especially if not because you're agreeing with me, but because you've taken the time to look.
I don't agree with anybody. I just listen.
No, but what I'm saying is that you've actually taken the time to listen and look at what happened, and that you can grasp exactly what went down. And that, because it's rare that somebody's like can look at what happened and go, oh fuck, you walked away from almost 30 grand a year doing this, and it was going to get
I realized that.
and it was going to get bigger. Like people, like I hear comments from that guy Bricktop talking about money. Like, if I was in this for the money, trust me when I tell you, I would have.
You'd have doubled it by now.
I would doubled it by now, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
The numbers were there. You could see it.
Without a doubt.
The growth was insane.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah. And that goes for Stephen Greenstreet too. Could have been the same thing for him. Basement Office was the best show going until he flipped the script. Until what happened to me happened to him first. First it was McGowan, then it was Greenstreet, then it was me. And there's like I told everybody, there's a wake of bodies in this whole narrative. You've got the TTSA that has been burned and has gone away. You got Jeremy McGowan has been burned and got away. You've got a whole production team that was burned and went away. You've got podcast hosts like me who were burned and went away. There's a pattern here. If you can't see it, I don't know, man, that's on you. But the fact that you saw that and you noticed that and that you can acknowledge that, that goes a long way for me, because a lot of people really overlook that. A lot of people overlook that fact that I walked away from the money, walked away from it because I didn't feel good about it. It didn't make me feel good to do what I was doing. Yeah, but dude, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Beautiful, mate. Good night, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lou.
Bye.
Go subscribe, people. If you don't know who Lou is, or let's face it, you all know who Lou is. If you don't, where have you been? The channel is in the description, people. But oh yeah, Scott, just see Scott pop there. I saw you a few times in the chat. I haven't looked too much at the chat tonight. I'm dyslexic, people. I know I keep telling you this, but when I'm concentrating, especially when it's just me and one other guest, it's hard to look at the chat unless it glows up with a shiny figure. And I appreciate the super chats, people, and Block. I appreciate the super chat. I wasn't being rude there. I just didn't want to kind of attack Lou with the comment because it felt a little bit kind of like, the whole money thing. Yeah, I agree. Lou definitely. He's. If anybody says he's in this for the money, he destroyed the money. Lou's channel, go support it. Get it back to where it was. It's a great channel. Guys very skeptical. I think that's what we need. We need more skeptical people. Scott Brown, definitely 100%, mate. I would love to get you on with Lou, especially somebody who I respect so much in the UFO field. People, go head on over to Scott Brown's YouTube channel. He's an awesome bloke and a great ufologist. He's one of the good guys. Really is. There's not many of them. Guys, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Sunday, Lee, I don't know if I will make Sunday. I'm going to try and make Sunday, but I am going out tomorrow night, and I'm going to have quite a few beverages with my friend because it's her 40th. So we're going round, and we're going to have a few beverages. She's turning 40, so well deserved. But Lee's show on Sunday, people, it's going to be a little bit of a fun one because I think he's going to be talking about, I've heard on the grapevine, he's going to be talking about a little thing called Mandela effect. So tune in for that one. It's going to be a bit of fun. And I have to say, I've been Mandela affected myself. There is it. And going back to what Lou was saying about his UFO experience, it being memory loss, maybe it is. Maybe we're all just really bad with memory. But I'll tell you something. Go look at Bigfoot. Go check out Bigfoot. You know the classic Bigfoot that's walking across? If you made this find the video, I'm going to spoil Lee's show. It's got tits. It never had tits. Ever. Bigfoot never had tits. Anyway, I'm going to go now. But head on over and check out the merch if you want to support the channel further. There is amazing designs. We've even got an evil Bigfoot. Mugs. Element 115. And Lee's latest design. Yeah, I'll help you out, Lee. There you go, mate. It all goes in the same pocket. Wild. Only he stopped saying wild the other day. I hope Lou makes that that I will buy that. I will support that. Good night, God bless people. Mind the bugs don't bite. I'm Alien Addict. Like, share, and subscribe, and all that jazz. If you want to become a Patreon, it's in the description. If you want to become a channel member, it all helps out the channel. But if you don't want to do that, just give it a thumbs up, share it out to your mates, and yeah, send me a picture of your ginger beard. Good night. Bye-bye.